Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of Friend Code. I'm your host, Michael Damiani. We've got an all-star panel for you this week. We got Ash Pauslen from GameXplain.
Hello there. Thanks for having me on. As always, I'm super happy to be here.
Absolute pleasure. Jirard the Completionist.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
I can't handle this. And we got Daan, Koopman, NintenDaan over there.
I'm good. How are you?
Good. This is like... I wish I had more chairs because I wanted like a 10-person panel here, like all the Nintendo All-Stars over here.
Wow.
But one day, we'll make that a Patreon goal for all of you. But we're coming to you live, and we're at the end of E3.
Right.
I'm feeling tired, but I feel good. I'm kind of curious, like, how do you all feel about this E3? Feel good? Feel tired?
It was a long week.
Yeah.
A very, very long week.
Yeah.
As it always
It
is.
was a good week, though. It was a very good week.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was a good
Yeah.
week. Long one. My feet are fried, but for good reason. I'm happy that the week went the way it did.
I always love giving people a chance to like just vent, get it off their shoulders. But let's dive into some. Let's start at the beginning of the week in terms of Nintendo. Let's start with their Nintendo Direct, and we'll start with you, Ash. I want to know what was your one biggest highlight to come out of the Direct?
Well, it starts with a B and it ends in Anjo. Because that's it. Banjo done. It's not even a question. I was bouncing up and down in my seat. I have wanted this like so many other Nintendo fans forever. Like going on 20 years now. It's crazy, and
Right.
it finally happened. Sakurai is a madman. That he can make anything happen. And just seeing them, like, it was great because we were in the media room, right? When, obviously working on the Direct, tagging videos, stuff. And as Banjo happened, you could hear the whole media room start just erupting in little woo shouts like, yeah! And it was just such a that was one of the best Smash reveals, I think, of all time.
Because it played back, it kind of played tribute to a previous reveal of King K. Rool with King DDD also trolling with the
good.
silhouette. They did the same. I was secretly kind of hoping for like master level troll where it was not Banjo, like it wouldn't be Banjo drop down, it'd be something else. I was like, oh, you monsters! If you did that, they would never let you live that down. But also very ecstatic to have Banjo in there. And this was rumored for so long. People going back and forth on whether or not this is happening.
Right.
And it's real now. We're gonna live in a world with Banjo being back with Nintendo in Smash Brothers and that level.
Oh, Spiral Mountain and the Grant Kirkhope
yes.
rearrangement of the Spiral Mountain theme. I want that same style done to Freeze Easy Peak. I mean, I can't like just go ask for things because it's not that easy. But
Yeah.
I just the music we're gonna get in that stage just excites me so much.
Absolutely.
And we saw the Golden Feather invincibility thing. We saw his swipe attack. We saw just so many great callbacks, and I love that it is an updated version of the N64 models and not the nuts and bolts kind of weirdly, creatively realistic
happy about
version.
that.
Yeah.
So that's the dream, and I have to give a shout out to Dragon Quest fans too. Of course, I think Banjo
Yes.
did completely overshadow Hero and the 4 different Dragon Quest heroes, but I am super happy for Dragon Quest fans. I think that was a cool reveal, but they knew exactly what they were doing. Starting with that, deflating us Banjo fans, and then going for the jugular at the end.
That was my favorite moment, actually.
Yeah?
Dragon Quest.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm
Okay.
a really big Dragon Quest fan. I've always been. I'm more fan of the Enix side than the Square side. So I played like all of those Dragon Quest games back to back to back. I played like 5 times at this point.
Oh man.
But having like 4 different heroes there, and the favorite one, the green-haired one of 4, is like so iconic to me. And I love that one so flipping much. So seeing that one of the costumes, I just went up my chair, like, oh my lord.
Nice.
I think it's important to note that a lot, I try to stay away from Twitter during E3 stuff because it's such a cynical cesspool of negativity.
Right.
Of course.
But when it came to the Dragon Quest reveal, I was actually very excited for all the Dragon Quest fans out there. And I think Shane from Did You Know Gaming tweeted something like, he was like, when everyone complains that no one cares about Dragon Quest, and he showed an infograph of how many copies were sold of Dragon Quest worldwide, and it's like
Right.
the franchise is massively popular. The fact that they're in Smash is a very good thing. The Japanese audiences were flipping out, I'm sure, when they saw that Dragon Quest was there, and then we got our moment to flip out, and we got Banjo. So I think in the end, like everyone won. We got Dragon Quest characters, we got Banjo-Kazooie, coming back home to Nintendo.
Right.
I think it's great.
For me, it was a double flip out because when the Dragon Quest character was rumored, I always had the feeling it's going to be Edric. It was going to be Edric. I was
So everyone
fully,
was saying,
fully
yeah.
committed that as that.
Yeah.
But then it started with the Dragon Quest 11 protagonist. It's like, okay, okay. And I went to the costumes, like, Edric is there, but my favorite is there too. I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was surprised they led with the Luminary there. I was like, oh, they're going for that, and then just dropping in more and more
Right.
heroes. Then the final Smash being like, I was like, oh,
It's like another version of Mega Man's Final
Yeah.
Smash.
Yes,
Super
Everyone's
cool.
there
such a
doing
great
their
way to
thing.
do
Yeah.
that.
And I saw the command menu, and I'm
So
Yes.
yeah.
so
Oh,
cool.
gosh.
Yeah.
And
I
like the spell labels
yes.
that pop up on screen.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
good.
like there's a
Yeah.
lot to get excited about that, you know. I agree with you there. Though, you know, sometimes maybe in the moment people get a little upset or disappointed, but I think when you step back and think about it later, it's like, was it really worth like getting that upset? Like and you're also getting Banjo. Like it evens
Yeah.
out. Like look at what Sakurai is giving you for crying out loud. Like
You know, but
like
this,
short
this
of
man
everything.
works video game miracles,
Yeah.
and nobody's ever. Well, a lot of people will, but Waluigi fans, for example,
Right.
are never going to give that
Oh.
man the credit he deserves.
that's
I mean, they
And-
made East and West fans at the same time happy in the same
Exactly.
direction.
Yes.
I actually
Yeah.
retweeted a really funny picture. There was Thanos like balancing all things, and it's
Yeah.
Western is Banjo on one side and Hero on the other side, like West and
Yeah.
East. It was great.
Of course, yeah.
Jirard. What was your highlight from the direct?
Well, I mean, I was gonna say Banjo, obviously, but I
Okay.
think I can make it different. There are multiple things.
Yeah,
I
what else? Yeah.
honestly feel like this direct was designed for me because I love No More Heroes. I
nice.
love
Right.
the Mana games, and so
Yes.
for me, getting Trials of Mana, getting the collection of Mana with Seiken Densetsu 3 being released first time ever in the West, like I'm. My heart is out there with all of the translators over the years who have been dying for an official release. It's so cool. Like I think in the end, like the big theme I got from not just Nintendo but really all of E3 was that JRPGs are in and people are loving them, and I'm very happy with that. I think
Yeah.
you know being able to play all these RPGs and instantly right away the direct was happening. It was like you can get the collection right now.
Yep.
It was just a really cool thing.
I love those
Right.
shadow drops.
And,
yeah.
and speaking of that, it's not directly, it wasn't at Nintendo's Direct, but Final Fantasy VIII Remastered. So we're going to get FF8 now on the Switch
Yeah.
as well. And you actually mentioned my other highlight, which it was Collection of Mana, and of course the Trials of Mana remake. I think we all had been wanting that since launch, since Switch's launch, and
Yeah.
and they got it in Japan at launch, and I can't believe they actually did it. They went and localized a 24 or whatever year old game, and they really went and did it, and it's so exciting. I was really, really pulling for that to happen, and it did.
It's also exciting too because now the games won't be worth as much as they are in the retro market.
Yeah.
Those games are so
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah.
That's I know it's not Nintendo, but like I hope that Genesis Mini leads to like a Saturn Mini as well because like I want these I love these collections. I like these re-releases because as you said, like it helps out people who don't like these really hard to find and or extremely expensive to play through legitimate means games.
Yeah.
Another chance at like a second life with like a new fans to discover them. It's always great to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would seriously pay good money for a Saturn Mini. They could charge
Oh.
really almost what they wanted for it, and I'd buy it.
Saturn and Dreamcast are like my
Yeah.
biggest blind spots, and just looking at Saturn specifically just looks so intimidating to try and get into that like financially, and just
Right.
I'd love Sega to make it easier for someone like me.
Yeah.
But yeah, Daan, what else was what other was your big highlight from the direct besides the Dragon Quest reveal?
Ooh, there was a bunch of stuff. I have to think about that for a minute.
Yeah, they had. I mean, I can go with mine.
Right.
We talked about it to death here at Easy Allies over the past few days. We got booted by Bloodworth because we were talking about it for almost an hour when we were supposed to be talking about impressions of games we played. And we're like, I'm talking about the Breath of the Wild sequel teaser
Yes.
at the end. I'm really before E3, I was kind of mostly serious and trying to play it off as a joke in case I was wrong that they were going to reveal Breath of the Wild sequel because I was like, it's the right time. But I was actually shocked they did it. I was like, they did it. The Madmen, they did it. But it also, at the same time, it felt like it stole the show for me. This, like, as big as Banjo was, as big as Dragon Quest was, as big as Final Fantasy VIII Remastered coming to Switch, and like the Mana Collection, like all these big announcements, No More Heroes 3, this just like eclipsed everything. I was like, wow, like now everyone's talking about that, and it even happened to us. But at the same time, it was so exciting to see the possibilities and potential from just that little short teaser. I'm done with my theorizing for now. I'm not getting into any more theorizing. You all are all welcome to theorize all you want on here, but I'm going to pass on that for now. But just the fact that it's a reality, it's happening. We know it's the same Link and Zelda. Like, we're continuing the adventures of this character in this world. I got invested in the original Breath of the Wild. I'm like so excited about that, and like just could not be happier about what we're gonna get in the coming year, maybe years. I think it's coming sooner than later, but we'll see.
I actually agree with you. I think it's further along than a lot of people might realize because, we're in a Final Fantasy X-2 situation here where they're reusing a lot of assets. They're reusing the world, so they don't have to create.
They don't have to create any new assets.
Right.
If they do, it's to complement, not to implement. And I think that you have the engine established. A lot of game companies take years to make games, not because they're designing the game, but because they have to build the engine that then lets them create the game. And so... And I don't think it's a bad thing that companies do this in making sequels or licensing out their engine in the case of Death Stranding. So I think it's the kind of thing where this is a good thing that they're doing this.
Yeah,
definitely agree.
And I'm just super I love the really shockingly dark, macabre feel of that trailer where I think it's Ganondorf's neck kind of snaps and kind of does that weird side twitch thing. That's creepy, and I am just so excited that we're getting this, and I couldn't be happier.
The whole section with like Ganondorf's body is like creepy in general, but I so much love it. It's so good.
Yeah.
As I said, Anuma said in one of the interviews that like it's going to be darker than Breath of the Wild. Like it's going to have a darker vibe in it. I saw clarify. I think people are confusing it and conflating it with like Majora's Mask because they thought he was saying it was darker than Majora's Mask, where it's like no, it's not going to be Majora's Mask.
Right.
And again, I'm saying this again because I think some people need to check their expectations when it comes to continuity and connections and stuff. Like I see all crazy things like Minda's gonna come back. It's gonna be the Twilight, the Twilight come back. There was a reason they did Breath of the Wild the way they did with its backstory, putting it 10,000 years after everything. The reason they won't put it in a timeline. This game and this sequel are meant to be a new mythology. It's meant to start a new mythos, and it's not going to be embracing the past or anything like this. And I can't wait to see what they do with maybe a potential new story for like if it Ganondorf. Like, are they going to do a new retelling like his Gerudo form, his human form? Like, are we get a new like origin for that? Like, the possibilities there have me really excited for them to finally do something new and original and not be beholden to all this like convoluted stuff that's like been around for 30 plus years.
I will say I actually find the Zelda timeline fun, as ridiculous as it's gotten. So I like to nurse my fantasy that Breath of the Wild is still at the end of the child timeline. But I agree with you. None of that's going to matter. Don't go into it thinking like I remember I set myself up for disappointment thinking that the Link in Breath of the Wild was Ocarina of Time Link after he lost to Ganondorf, and and so that was gonna be so cool, and and then of course that didn't happen. And in my opinion, I think my favorite thing about the Breath of the Wild 2 teaser might be that what I hope I got from it was that it's going to be a bit more of a story focused game. Just because I love Breath of the Wild to death, but I'm just going to say it. Its story was hot garbage.
There was no narrative.
There was not, yeah.
The narrative was explore this world.
Yeah, and all the cool stuff happened 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
that was
the real dungeon was that open world, right? Like exploring that world was like the real challenge in that game.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'd like because I'm so invested in those characters. I do hope they go and develop like a richer story this time. At least something that is meant to be like it's not taking place in the past mostly, and you're not piecing it together as you go forward. Something that is taking place in the present. I want like I would like characters to be maybe other characters, but beyond that, I'm kind of. People, okay, I'm breaking my rule. I'm doing a speculation here. That's why I was hesitating right there. Give me one indulgence.
All right.
One indulgence.
Fine.
Hey, this is your show, man.
Dungeons. I'm employing chat in the audience because they're going to rake me for this. Dungeons. One of the things that Breath of the Wild did not have was a more traditional like atmospheric themed dungeon. The Divine Beasts were the closest you got. I would argue they were kind of amalgamations of the different individual shrines constructed into like a larger component. Like a lot of it felt familiar, but they did tie it around like a very light theme and like a light core mechanic, but it was nowhere on par with anything I'd seen in any of the previous 3D Zeldas. No. And there's that one shot of going to like that, like it looked like an old school like dungeon entrance in Zelda, and like that the mood that it conveyed to me felt like more powerful than anything I saw in Breath of the Wild, and that's one thing I want do you think there's any chance we might get, a semblance of going back to more traditional dungeons, especially since they said it's going to be the same Hyrule, or like what did they do for that at that point?
I think we are going to get themed like specific dedicated dungeons, because that same scene you're talking about reminded me so much of Zelda 1's external dungeon with the face and that reminded me that you're walking down into a labyrinth with a face design for a mouth, and that reminded me of that. So I think it might happen. And of course we see Hyrule Castle rising from the ground, right? So it goes to follow that maybe these ancient dungeons that were there all along, maybe rising from the ground all around Hyrule, giving you reason to go back, and now there's new stuff, and now there's a dungeon, and I love same thing I loved about Link Between Worlds. I love the idea of revisiting the same game world 100 years in the future, because it's familiar, but you don't know what you're going to find because 100 years have passed. Yeah. So I love that idea in Breath of the Wild 2, that we have this whole world, but we're going to find all new stuff.
The
dreaded Jinx breath.
No, go ahead.
No, I have nothing.
Well, I think we have no choice but to have dungeons now, because the divine beasts are gone.
Right.
I don't think we're gonna benefit by putting in another 1,800 Korok seeds or shrines.
Oh boy!
Talk about that, Jirard.
No,
how's it doing?
I don't think we're gonna be doing that again, are we, Inuma-san?
You're right.
Please don't.
But I think the option at this point is to traverse to new areas, to new territory. And I think, obviously we all got the Twilight Princess Majora's Mask vibe coming out of this. If there's a say of that, then I think that we're gonna kind of go back to, I wouldn't be surprised if this is, again, speculating but dumb, throwing it out there, right?
Right.
That we're kind of dealing with a Shadow Realm kind of Shadow Universe type thing. It's not gonna be called Breath of the Wild, but wouldn't be surprised if it's called Shadows of the Past or something like that, right? Just something where it's obviously there's a darker tone here where I don't want to say strands, because that's what Hideo Kojima would be all about, but there's definitely this weird contorting Twilight connectiveness that this is evil rooting kind of brooding situation happening with what we got from the teaser. And I think with this island rising, we have to go into dungeons, we have to do something, because I don't think we're gonna find anything in another 300 shrines or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Before we move on to the next question, was there any other highlights from the Direct, Daan, that you thought of yet? Or
Animal Crossing New Horizons.
There you go. Yeah.
So I spent way too much time playing New Leaf, first on the Japanese version and the Western version. And I still kind of do every 3 days. I check in and see how everything is going in my town. Everything is okay. I just have the beauty one on, so just make sure that everybody in the village is okay. Just pick up the random stuff and then move on with the rest of my day. But New Horizons, it presents the next step, because New Leaf was such an interesting development with how the mayor is concerned, but this feels like something always completely foreign to me. Building up your own island, crafting your own materials, not buying them from Nook anymore. It feels like a complete different step from what Animal Crossing used to be. And I think that's such an important thing to take, because I think that New Leaf was the culmination of everything they did with the original formula, and there was anywhere place to go with the current one.
I'm curious about your take, and the rest of the panel's take on the delay. Originally planned for 2019, and they announced that it's going to be coming out next year.
Yeah.
And they kind of interviewed. I talked about the concept of avoiding crunch, essentially, which has become kind of a little bit of a hot topic in the industry in the past few months. And we saw that Nintendo's shares actually took a dip. People speculating on the announcement that Animal Crossing got delayed. Does that actually? Does it bother you that it's being delayed? How do you feel about their explanation for that?
Initially, no, but when I got the explanation, I totally got it. It's totally understandable. Nintendo is an unconventional company; they can do whatever they want, and I think keeping the health of their employees in mind is an important step to take.
I completely agree. I can say this a little more easily because I'm not a hardcore Animal Crossing fan. I like it and I appreciate it, but it's just not I'm not waiting for it day after day. But the correct decision is always to let a game bake for as long as it needs to, for it to be ready, and to give your employees the quality of life, work-life balance they deserve. So, in my opinion, there's never any reason to push a game out before it's ready in terms of the game itself and the people working on it. So I think it's fine.
Japanese culture tends to be rooted in working until you can't work anymore, right? The salaryman lifestyle.
Right.
You know,
Right, yeah.
You wake up early, you take your commute to work, you work 8, 9, 10 hours. You don't have personal time. You go get drinks, you go get food, you go to a APA hotel, whatever it is, and then you sleep, and then you get up and you go back to work without taking a shower, right? It's like that's what the Japanese culture trend's been for quite some time. And as a country, they're trying to implement ways to encourage Japanese men and women to go out and have fun because they're not reproducing as much as they used to because they're focused on success and work. And the fact that Nintendo is taking a stand and saying, hey, like we're going to take the time for our people to do a good job, I think is important. And I think that people selling their stocks in response to Nintendo,
Right.
I feel are people who don't understand the games industry and maybe just have stockbrokers working on their behalf.
Right.
Because if anything, if you're a Nintendo fan, you should be purchasing stocks because it shows that you're supporting Nintendo's decision to ultimately delay this game. And something that people don't really think about when it comes to running a business is that there are quarters that companies have to hit every single year. If for the simple fact of if Nintendo goes, we're going to put Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart, and Smash Brothers all in Q4 of a year, that's bad for them because they put all of their bullets in one quarter. No one's going to spend all that money. But if they put them in Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, and they're advertising them properly and people are spending the money, then you're going to see people are going to be more hyped for other titles. They're going to have more money. They're going to save more money. They're going to want to invest more into it. So I think it's smart they're taking the time. Let it come out in Q1 because what's coming out next year in Q1 for Nintendo? At this point, nothing. We don't know what's coming out in Q1. So beginning of next year, after the New Year ball drops, everyone's ready for Animal Crossing.
And also I want to add to that Nintendo shares are always in flux. Like if I remember correctly, I was talking to analysts at E3. Like 1/4 of the entire Tokyo Stock Exchange is Nintendo shares. So being sold and bought and going back and forth on that. So it's not a wonder that many people sold their stocks because this is not the company I want to have. But at the same time, Nintendo will do okay. They're not a company in debt. They'll be fine without those people, and those people will come back eventually anyway.
Well, I think it's also about messaging, right? Like, do you guys remember when Pokemon Go came out?
Yeah,
Pokemon Go came out, Nintendo stock soared. Great for Nintendo, except one thing: it was Nintendo's fault that the game came out. Like they had nothing to do with it other than they own a large portion of the Pokemon company, and their name was attached to it.
Right.
Nothing else came of it, and that's because the people who have no idea, they just go, "Oh, Pokemon, Nintendo. Of course, I'm going to buy Nintendo stock." So it's the kind of thing where you have a lot of misinformed people who do just they're playing it safe, they're playing it oddly weird, and I think when it comes to Animal Crossing, like I said, if you're a Nintendo fan and you're into the stock market, it's like now's the time to support Nintendo. Buy stock, show them that you care because they're trying to support their culture and their company for the future.
Absolutely, definitely be supporting a company like Nintendo that's trying to buck the trend, like trying to improve quality of life for their employees. I think it just leads to everyone being happier, both employees and consumers, because you get hopefully a better game in the end because they spend more time on it. People aren't being worked to death. I mean, there's I forget the term. There's literally a term for that in Japanese for Japanese culture. I was like, oh crap, like that's insane that you even have something for that. That's a little messed up.
Especially with a creative game like Animal Crossing, having a creative escape in the development process. It sounds to me like a very important thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and these employees will feel better about working there. I feel like they'll be very invigorated. It affects even future projects down the line. It's a place you're happy and proud to work at, and it leads us to better games overall in general. So, yeah, I'm glad Nintendo made that decision. And I also agree with what you said, Jirard. Like, it's probably just uninformed people who are having, by proxy or doing all this trading and stuff, and they just don't. They're ignorant for it. It's just and it's some broker trying to do what's best to make their client most money.
They're the same
sadly.
people that watch the Ubisoft conference and go, "I'm investing because they have that Tom Clancy mobile game, right?" Like it's those same people who are like, "Oh, mobile? Absolutely, I'm buying stock in this company." It's the same people.
Yeah.
It's really what it is.
You can't go in thinking that they're
totally.
thinking of this from the same perspective that gaming enthusiasts are, because they're not. It's a completely different thing, and that's what kind of bringing us all back together is that it is so important to be able to not just be an armchair gaming critic, but to understand the business side of things and why things happen the way they do, and that it is not just about giving us what we want when we want it and lazy developers and all that nonsense. These are businesses and they do the things they do for a reason.
And I think a lot of people also let the company or the public opinion sway their feelings, right? Like, I think that I'm sure like stockbrokers aren't sitting on Twitter being like, let's do what the people think. Like, they're not. That's not what they're doing. But they definitely wait. They definitely wait to see what Variety and Vox and IGN are posting about Nintendo's delays. They're seeing the news and they're going, this affects my investment. Now I'm going to pivot. And while it doesn't affect us as consumers, we don't care. We're still going to pick up Animal Crossing or Mario Maker or whatever it is. It does affect Nintendo's bottom line in some capacity.
Not in the grand scheme of things. They're still a company without any sense of that.
Well, sure, of course, of course. I mean, they're a 100-year-old company, so their legacy is obviously bigger than any of us will ever imagine.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, definitely. I want to move on from like announcements in the news to like actual tangible games that were at the show.
Of course.
We'll go in reverse time. So for you, Daan, I want to know your hands-on. What was like your highlight in terms of like hands-on? What was like probably the best thing you got to play from Nintendo at E3?
I would say Luigi's Mansion 3.
Yes. Why is that?
I love Luigi's new moves. Like the slam ability is so much fun to use. Like I went back, was ready to press the A button, and then pressed 4 times in a row and got the ghost there, and it felt so fantastic to nail that down. It's so good.
It's a really satisfying move. It makes Luigi look really cool in a way that he doesn't often get to.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just so satisfying to slam them over and over again, especially when you slam ghosts into other ghosts.
Yes.
And
love that.
And everything about it. I mean, I do find his new burst move funny because I'm like, Luigi, have you forgotten that you can just jump? Not only can you jump better than your brother. So
I guess the gear's too heavy. I mean,
yeah, I guess, yeah. But
maybe.
But I just love Gooigi is great.
Gooigi
is great. Yeah.
Yes.
What a it's weird because he's supposed to be an ally and he helps you and that's awesome and I love him, but I wouldn't turn my back to him. Nuh-uh. No.
Ooh,
Never.
Maybe there's a twist. Yeah.
I know.
Fully
He's creepy.
functioning gelatin man, no way. I'm
No.
out.
I do like that he has a G on his hat though.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool touch.
What does that make him compared to Mario? Is he Mario's ghost brother?
Goo brother.
Goo brother?
Goo brothers? All right.
Goo brother? Gelatin
Goo
brother?
brothers?
Yeah. Oh man. They are really taking. It's clear they've really taken their time with Luigi's Mansion 3 to bring some new things to the table.
The game has no business looking as good as it does.
It looks nice.
Why
looks
does it
real
look
nice.
so good?
The variety
Yeah.
and the designs of the different rooms. It's just moving from next room to next room. That is exactly what I wanted to see. I wanted to see how creative they would get with the room designs, like so one feels samey. And even this short demo, they conveyed that so well, and everything in the trailer too, just looked fantastic.
The medieval rooms look really well themed, really nicely done. Especially the boss. The boss arena is great.
I love the opening cutscene too. The opening cutscene was so cute.
They all getting out.
Yeah.
I caught part of it because they started me in it and they cut it off. So I saw them arriving and getting out, and I didn't see anything past that point, unfortunately.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know.
Well, no, fortunately, we were able to capture the whole opening. So
of course,
we were able
your
to get that.
gaming's nice.
Yes,
You get
right.
everything,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. But it's just really, it's really cute. They're all, it's Mario, Peach, Luigi, and a couple of Toads going on vacation.
Okay.
But I can't remember who it was, but one of the GameXplain team was talking about how, why do they ever go on vacation anymore? Because every single time they do, something
disaster,
terrible happens.
absolutely.
Eventually, we're gonna get a game called Mario's Vacation, and it is just they get to do fun stuff on vacation.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
did.
maybe.
It's called Mario Party.
Yeah.
Where it's stressful for us, but not
Right.
They're having a party. We're freaking out.
Exactly.
That's a great
Exactly.
Oh man. That boss battle though. It was pretty cool. The whole thing about stand your ground and stuff. I thought you were supposed to suck up the arrows being shot at you to fire back.
I thought so too.
And to stun them, and then you would do it. And then they were like, "Oh, well, why don't you try standing your ground?" Oh, okay, I get it. Flash the thing. It still was simplistic, but it looked so cool and it felt good. Especially this giant knight slamming that around, watching the pieces break off. It was so good. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
The first time I tried to attack the boss, I used the light, but then it reflected from the shield. Like, okay, wait, so I have to wait till the shield moves out of the way. Then I did plunger, throw the shield away, and then slam a few times, and then suck him up.
I will say, I thought the first half of the battle was stronger than the second.
Yeah.
Once you get the armor off, and he
Yeah.
does that little spin move and just
Yeah.
leaves himself open, it's like, oh, okay.
kinda-
Repeat 3 times. You know, it's just
Yeah.
it became very mechanically simple. But the first half was really cool, and I hope to see more
Yeah.
bosses like the first half of that boss. They just get crazier
Yeah.
and make you maybe combine the environmental stuff with the plunger move and
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Good point. Yeah, the plunger move, I really like that. I liked how it was utilized in the demo. The kind of like the barrel room, like maybe a brewery or something, where there was like you could peer through a gap and see in a stair, kind of on the ladder, sorry, that went up to a bonus item. And you're like, how do you do that? And then, like, you could shoot the plunger against one of those things and rip off like the face of the barrel. It's like, oh my gosh, there are gonna be so many things I'm gonna be able to do this, and just the amount of interaction you're gonna have in each room. Like, that's what I loved about. So I didn't play it a lot. I barely played any of the original Luigi's Mansion for GameCube, but I played the heck out of Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon and loved that game. And that sold me and made me hyped for any future ones. And just the amount of stuff you can do in any one room, and that the fact is going to translate into this new Luigi's Mansion 3. I love exploration in this game, and like I love atmosphere, and this thing was just nailing both of those in that short demo.
I recently completed Luigi's Mansion for 3DS entirely.
Yes.
And it was such a pain in the butt to do that when I picked up Luigi's Mansion 3, I was like, this is heaven. The massive, flashlight blast, the swinging them down, like the fact that it's easy to suck in the ghosts. Like this is a franchise that's getting better because they're thinking about it more and more as they improve it each time.
Definitely.
Actually, I'm curious, Damiani, how do you feel about, since you didn't play the original and you really love Dark Moon, how do you feel about what seems to be them pulling away from the mission-based structure of Dark Moon and going back to the originals more open?
Okay, so I would personally, I'm more in favor of them going for, I wanted like a singular environment that was like more expansive and you explore parts of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a vertical tower now. I thought it was gonna be like spread out over like a large grounds essentially, but yeah, we're going vertical. Okay, that, it's Nintendo. I trust you. You can do like really good with this. It was kind of cool to see the different mansions in Dark Moon, but I kind of, like it was a mission like, oh, you're complete, move on. I was like, no, I want this singular environment experience where it's, I don't want to like, not Metroidvania, but like that it is a little bit more open in that there's places I'll see that I can't get to. I'm going to go to there later. I'm going to like backtracking, like elements of that. And it seemed like the first game, that's what it did. And this is like that like amplified and doing more of that, and that's exactly what I wanted to see.
The vibe I got was that it was kind of like we were hunting. It was like the Ghostbusters of Luigi's Mansion to the best degree, right? Like in the original Ghostbusters, like when the boys hunt Slimer for the first time, right? Like it was a mission for them to hunt Slimer, and so they went through the hotel. And that's the vibe I got with Luigi's Mansion, where it's like there's one important ghost we have to hunt down. Everyone else is just collateral. Yeah. And so I like that idea of like we're going on a hunt for this one big epic ghost, as opposed to before there's portrait ghosts everywhere, there's the mission levels. So it feels like they're trying more to go for like the big bad ghost in the floor, if you will, or in that sector of the hotel, as opposed to like hunting everything down.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not sure if they talked about this in the Treehouse portion. I've seen almost nothing of the Treehouse, unfortunately. So if this has been said,
here.
speak up, anybody. But I kind of imagine it when we're talking about like the mission based. I still think that essence is gonna be there a little bit to an extent, because as you like have to go up higher into the tower, that's gonna be it. It's gonna be self-contained. But I'm hoping there'll be an element of going back down, like things change below, and like things you do above affect the rest of the tower, so that there is this like sense of like not just progression, but like an ever-changing environment. I really hope it does that, but I mean, I don't know if they said anything about that. So
it's like basically I always feel bad for Derek. There's always a hashtag free Derek, because he's the one who usually stays in the media room monitoring Treehouse, monitoring all the stuff that gets announced after the direct, while we're all on the show floor getting footage and playing games. So shout out to Derek for once again doing that. So he would be the one to know all about every single Treehouse Live little thing they talked about. And
the only thing I've seen online about Luigi's Mansion 3 all week is an interview asking if Luigi was edible.
oh man,
what did they say?
It would taste like gummies.
Like gummies? Okay.
I mean, I guess if Luigi needs a snack.
Yeah.
while
So
he's out.
will there be an idle animation now where Luigi's like, let's like no.
Yeah, right.
You know, just like eating it and stuff.
You know, speaking of Luigi, one of the things I really liked that I saw from the trailer, the E3 Direct trailer, was the environmental puzzles they're building with water. Because Luigi dissolves in water, and that's basically an instant game over. So, you know, there's that one, I think it's like a shower or a bathroom or something, where there's like a puddle of water going across, and he can't cross that, of course, but Luigi can. It's the inverse of like spikes, where Luigi can go through. And I love that kind of puzzle element, that there are these environmental puzzles where you have to really think your way around these obstacles. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited. And I'm not even like a hardcore Luigi's Mansion fan. I like it, but I'm not like, oh my God, Luigi's Mansion 3. But then I played it, and I'm like, I'm excited for this now.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, of the two, I played more of the multiplayer mode than the game multiple times.
Yeah.
Because I went through the game like 2 times, I think. One to complete all the missions, the second time to perfect them. And then for the year, every weekend, I played every Saturday the Scare Mode, which is now coming back and free. So I'm really excited for that.
So that's pretty cool.
Right, which apparently is 8 players.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
8
4
players
players
now.
now.
4 Luigis.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
Pretty-
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Getting there online, a little bit more involved there, you know, giving people something to do. That's pretty cool. Jirard, what did you get hands on this week with Nintendo stuff that you found particularly impressive or a highlight for you?
I mean, aside from the big ones that were the show floor, I didn't get to play it, but I wanted to. I really was like watching it like a hawk. Was Silk Song. Wanted to.
Okay.
I'm in
Look,
the same
Team
boat.
Cherry, I love you guys. Thank you so much for Hollow Knight. I will follow you to the ends of the earth for Silk Song. That game looks so good. I sat in line for about an hour to play it, and I had to leave to another appointment. I was about to play it, but the game looks great. It looks and breathes just like Hollow Knight, and I'm so excited to revisit that world. I'm so excited for the uncomfortable but beautiful, essence that is Hollow Knight.
Oh, yeah. It looked really, really great. It really looked beautiful.
I ran into the same situation as you. Ben Moore got to play it, was describing this stuff, and it sounded like fantastic when he got to play it. But I waited in line the first day to just get in there to play Link's Awakening, and I saw Silk Song was there as well. But unfortunately, I wanted to play Link's Awakening. I only had so much time, and it was one or the other, and I went with Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
But I also had a regular appointment with Nintendo for media, and I was like, oh, this stuff's all going to be up there. Go to my appointment, it's not there. And I'm like,
that was me too.
What?
I was hoping that they were gonna have Hollow Knight there,
Yes,
and they
there,
didn't. But they had everything else but Hollow Knight for the media area.
Right.
Which is kind of unfortunate because
Right.
that was the game that I wanted to play the most.
That
Right.
was my biggest regret, is not being able to get hands on with that. But they
Yeah.
say coming soon, and I'm hoping it is really soon. Like, I can't wait to play that. Like, I was a little bit skeptical on Hollow Knight, but I didn't play it on PC once it came to Switch, made me a believer. I was proven completely wrong, and had such a blast with that game, and I can't wait to play Silk Song.
I think it's fascinating how in previous E3s, Nintendo's been really adamant about incorporating their titles that are about to release or they're like releasing that week. Cadence of Hyrule got announced in the Direct, and it was only a couple of days, and then we had it. And Mario Maker 2 comes out in 2 weeks. Wasn't on the show floor, so they were really trying to emphasize what's coming up for Nintendo and not what's already here, which, for better or for worse, I think they should have had Cadence of Hyrule on the floor. I think they should have had Mario Maker 2 on the floor.
I agree.
I think, especially because those games got a lot of support in the past 2 quarters. Everyone's been wanting to see more Mario Maker stuff. We did get the Direct a couple of months ago, or a couple of weeks ago rather. But there's still so many questions about Mario Maker 2 that we have. We don't know. There's another mode that we're waiting for. Obviously, everyone's speculating there's an empty spot for another type of Mario.
Right.
I would have loved to have seen that in the Direct. Would have loved to have seen more functions that we weren't shown off. When I was at the Invitational, they only let us play the game for about 3 minutes before we didn't get to play any of the levels. We didn't get to play anything. We had to make a level. They let us make a Mario Maker level, and we didn't get to do that much. And it was mostly just to show us the functions in the game. But I feel like there's a lot we still don't know about Mario Maker 2. We got overviews, sure, but I feel like the first time around with Mario Maker 1, we got a pretty in-depth look. And then at E3, it was playable, and everyone had a great time with it and got to really sink their teeth in it. So I don't know. I think it's interesting that there was a lot less emphasis on the stuff that's almost coming, and a lot
Right.
more on the stuff that's down the line.
Right.
At that point, I was surprised that like Fire Emblem Astral Chain weren't there.
yeah, neither
I'm
of
more
those were
surprised
there.
that Astral Chain wasn't there.
Yeah,
the
right.
game lends itself to probably a really good, easy, simple, short demo
Yeah.
to convey that. Fire Emblem, I was a little less surprised it wasn't there.
Right.
More intensive RPGs are harder to do.
They don't demo well.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
It's hard to nail them.
Here's the battle.
Okay.
Right.
Right. Like here's
Yeah.
here's
Yeah.
the.
Oh,
well,
yeah,
what
yeah,
else can
yeah,
you
yeah,
do?
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
It's
I
like.
mean, the only trailer they showed during the direct was like the story trailer, which they haven't done much story stuff before this point, so they kind of had to.
Well, and kind of speaking to that point too, like other than Yamper, which is the greatest thing to ever happen to Pokemon, in my opinion, there almost wasn't a point in having so much of the floor devoted to Sword
Yeah.
and Shield because it was
Yeah.
such a thin vertical slice with all level 50 Pokemon. It doesn't really
Right.
give you that much of a sense.
It doesn't give you
They
no
should have
idea
demoed
about
the wild
difficulty.
area.
Yeah.
Like just drop you into a small portion of the wild area and let
Yeah.
you just because that's what that game's draw is.
You have no sense of difficulty because of that demo. You
Right.
have no idea.
right,
Oh, yeah.
but we did get Dynamax Yamper, which
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
the greatest
Pretty
thing ever.
much
Yeah, that's the greatest thing.
the top
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm surprised they didn't do the like a max raid battle at the very least. Like letting you
know.
play with
Yeah.
3 other people. I thought that was like the perfect 4 people at a station, moving it much faster. I definitely understand. Like we had this whole conversation. We went through this argument. It actually was an argument about what they should have shown there that would have been better. And a lot of people chimed in saying like, yeah, the wild area, but at the same time. I ultimately don't know how it's going to feel playing it. I think that might be a more involved process. Like, I argued that essentially I felt like I think it was Kyle tried to compare it to Breath of the Wild's demo. I was like, well, Breath of the Wild had more immediacy to it. I feel like there was more to do in each moment to moment, which and made it a better game to
Right.
demo. Plus, like we were really like this game like. So radically different. We needed to see this. Where I think Wild Area is mostly like we know what it is, and I feel like it's just the act of going out there and experiencing the weather and catching a Pokemon in that. I feel like you'd rather spend your own time, like take an hour to do a deep dive in it when you get the game, and like how do you do that in a 10-minute demo? Like, is that really gonna work out and like convince you it's the best thing? Like, I'm worried it'd come off as like, oh, that was kind of boring, and like how do they show the depth of that in that short of a time?
Well, I mean, we can take that and compare it to the Pokemon Let's Go demo.
Oh,
from
yeah,
the
I
year
remember
before.
that.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Pokemon Let's Go had a lot more depth to it than everyone realized, right? We got there, we tested it out. We can catch Pokemon. We can kind of battle with other trainers, and it felt very specific and methodical about how they planned it. Even though it was the starting area we all knew very well, we got a pretty good grasp and idea of the scope of what Pokemon Let's Go and Pikachu and Eevee could be. And I think what we kind of got with the demo at E3 for this was, yeah, here's the gym battles that you've all been experiencing for the past 15 years in the Pokemon franchise. What new is in this? Dynamaxing? Great, but
It's basically just this generation Z moves or
right,
evolutions.
or yeah.
It was Dynamaxing and 2 new Pokemon. That's about it that
Yeah.
you saw new.
Although I will say we did
Yeah.
get did get Nessa revealed, and her design's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she's
yeah.
one of my favorite
Sure.
gym trainers so far, or leaders so far, I think.
It just felt like a disjointed demo because of the Nintendo Direct we got a couple of days before.
Agreed.
And that Direct was way more in depth to the features, that we were getting a bigger scope of what was going on. And the big unveiling of it was there'll be more at the Nintendo Direct that's going to take place at E3. That came, and we got no new really that much information, and the demo was probably even less enticing because of it.
Yeah, in retrospect, now in hindsight, I think everything Pokemon Sword and Shield should have been kept to Treehouse, honestly.
Yes.
and they could
I
have
agree.
used that space for maybe even Fire Emblem. At least Fire Emblem, they could have like made you at least play a battle or something.
They could have,
That
totally.
like we've
Yeah.
seen it, but it's a console Fire Emblem. Like and they got new mechanics and new like tactics involved in it. That's something worth showing off. I feel.
The last console one was on Wii.
Yeah.
It's a long time ago.
Right?
Radiant Dawn.
Yeah.
It's part 2 of my favorite 2 Fire Emblem games. They're Path of Radiance, Radiant Dawn, baby.
Yeah, they're really good.
GameCube Wii. Yeah, I mean, but anything like Astral Chain could have used that space, or
Of course,
or two
yeah.
things like Mario Maker 2 and Astral Chain could have taken up that space. Like, yeah,
Astral Chain's looking really promising.
yeah. I didn't get to see any of it because I didn't see any direct.
Right,
Outside of
It's-
the treehouse, outside of the direct.
Also, Bayonetta 3 was announced 2 years ago. We haven't seen anything.
Didn't they give an update saying it's like they said its development's still going well?
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of, Jirard, is that with Astral Chain being a project that's like
It's
on
gotta
the
be
horizon,
taking up the
they
time.
like
Yeah.
also let's keep the focus on this. The
Yeah.
more we start talking about Bayonetta now, it takes off focus of Astral Chain. That's a new IP. We need this. Let's give it the best chance it can do to succeed. Once that's out, it's out there. We can then shift our focus to start the marketing, like the marketing gears for Bayonetta 3.
Sure.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised, like if they're Game Awards, maybe it'll show up there or something like that this year.
It just seems a little disjointed just to be like, it's the Metroid Prime 4 thing all
Yes.
over again, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yes,
you know, you're going to
that's true.
show the screen, and then it's like, great, nothing else. And then obviously we got the update earlier this year saying that they're basically starting over with Retro Studios taking back over, which is fine. Again, about delays, but I personally am not I'm not looking forward to Astral Chain that much. I'm not like I love Platinum Games, but
I just understand. Yeah.
I think personally I probably would have preferred a Bayonetta 3 thing as opposed to Astral Chain. But then again, I'm sure it's going to be fine. It's
You know
really-
what's so interesting about that is that I agree with you. Actually, when we first saw Astral Chain, I'm like, oh, I love Platinum, but I don't know, because I think I initially wrote it off as like a Daemon Ex Machina type.
That was actually exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh,
And
okay.
I'm definitely one of the guys that saw Daemon X Machina. I was like, oh, this isn't just I'm not for it. This is not for me. I don't know
Right.
who this game is for, but like, great. I'm glad it exists. It's just not for me.
Right.
When I saw Astral Chain, it was the exact same feeling. Like, cool. Again,
Yeah.
not for me.
Well, that's how I felt initially, but then I saw the trailer for this E3,
Yeah.
and I was like, whoa, okay, this game deserves some attention on it, because this
Yeah.
is not Daemon Ex Machina. This is something presumably way better. I think it actually looked really promising in this.
It also looked like proper Tower and Kamiya nonsense. Like
Uh-huh.
those two can do no wrong.
Yeah, it looked over the top and ridiculous, and it just, after seeing getting a better idea of what this game's gonna be all about, I'm actually a little more excited about it.
Yeah. If you're just talking about the direct video, yeah, like that was pretty good. I
Yeah.
don't know. Someone said there was gameplay shown off, like raw gameplay shown off during the treehouse.
I
Yeah,
think
they did
that I
two
wish
segments.
that I
too.
really wish I could have seen by now, because it did look better at there. But I also I empathize with you, Jirard. Like deep down, I want Bayonetta 3 more.
Sure,
I want to see that. But like, yeah, I can see their need to balance like being responsible to multiple projects there. Like they
Right.
have to give them like their due diligence.
Well, and maybe I'm crazy for saying this, but I think when Nintendo starts working closely with second and third party developers like Sega or like Platinum,
Right.
When they enter these relationships, I think the thing that tends to get oversought is that there's a promise of what to deliver on. So you're gonna produce this game exclusively for our console, which means that they have to design the game exclusively with the console's boundaries in mind. So to me, Astral Chain would look incredible on the PC or the PS4, but because it's being designed for the Nintendo Switch, which is obviously the least powerful of them all currently, or at least as powerful, I feel like the game is kind of at a disadvantage because of it. And I don't say that a lot about a lot of Nintendo titles because most of them are designed pretty well in mind. But there's something about Sega and Platinum Games when they're working with Nintendo that their games tend to have some of the more errors and problems that other developers don't run into because they're proprietary creating for the Switch. And so it kind of puts a little confinement box around them, and it gives them their own puzzle that they have to kind of solve.
Do you think this is also like going back even further, like Anarchy Reigns, Mad World, like,
Right.
Mad World is a Wii exclusive that like,
Right.
oh, this is really cool looking, and then that has that I think that art style carried that game a lot. But like if it didn't have that, I understand. Yeah, I get what you're saying that it's that argument about these games. Those projects could be better served maybe on other platforms. Like, wouldn't it be better for Platinum to why would they agree to this, and why don't they just agree to like Bayonetta 3 only? Put all their resources into this, because they've developed for the Switch or Nintendo in the past. They could make it run well and look pretty good on the Switch. Like that's a strength of theirs versus trying to take a whole new IP. Like that's such a demanding ask of them. And the only answer, the best answer I can come with you is they need projects, they need money to keep going on. And
They're also
Right.
a multi-project
Whoever,
Yeah, and,
company.
whoever's
like, they're-
paying,
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
whoever's paying for is getting the licensing.
they
of course.
have
Yeah.
to keep multiple projects. That's one of their
and
MOs.
I think
yeah.
that Bayonetta 3 is also a completely different team than the team that's working on Astral Chain.
I think that's true too.
Because
yeah.
this Kamiya is only overseeing it, and Tara from Nier Automata is doing the direction.
Yes. So yeah, that's very good to point out
Yeah.
as well. But yeah, I don't think we'll have to wait too much longer after Astral Chain comes out to see Bayonetta 3 would be my gut.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
seeing like a Game Awards re-reveal.
yeah.
Totally.
But yeah, you brought up a good point though also about like in the last two years, Nintendo has had a bit of a few missteps in revealing things a little too early. I don't think they intended it to be that way, but it's just how development plays out. Like you said, Bayonetta 3, Metroid Prime 4, which is just real quick to go back to the Breath of the Wild teaser, which is why another reason I think it's coming out sooner rather than later. They know the stakes when they show off a Zelda game, and B, they've had those like delays that have happened with other high profile projects. It's like this is third time's a charm, maybe like beyond that for the Switch generation, and they have to be confident that it's coming out in some reasonable time frame. Like I would say, like anywhere from a year to like anywhere from 12 to 18 months would probably be my best guess for timetable for that game. Otherwise, why'd you show that off?
Exactly.
Like, why wouldn't you just wait like Game Awards? Like buy yourself a few more months or something. Like this is they had so much in that direct. You didn't need that, but I think they're confident about that. But Ash,
Yes.
I want to know what you got hands on with at E3 that really wowed you.
Okay, so before I get into my favorite thing I got hands on with by
Okay.
Nintendo, there's another Switch game that I was really happy with. I want to go on a quick tangent to
Yeah, sure.
highlight.
No, yeah.
And that was I got to play Grandia HD Collection.
Oh, that was there.
Yeah, it was there.
I didn't find out till after the show.
Right,
I was
it
like
was
so
there.
angry. Yes.
And
How was
so,
it?
well, I don't know if I may have told you, but I played it at PAX West last year, and to say it
Yes.
looked awful would have been putting it kindly. Like it was a mess.
Okay.
And the gung ho rep I talked to
Yeah,
about it at the
gung-ho,
time did not
yeah.
instill in me any confidence that they knew what IP they had inherited, like the importance of it. So I was really,
good.
really, really sad going in.
Okay.
I'm so happy to report that
Okay.
things have been turned around 150%.
Okay, that's good.
I got to see. I didn't get to actually play it, but I got to go see it like behind
Okay.
closed doors demo of it. I shouldn't have said hands on, but no, I
You
got
saw it in action though.
But I saw it in action,
Okay.
and I got a good long look at both Grandia 1 and 2. They're both looking great. I can see some people maybe criticizing 1 because it has that kind of like that smoothed over texture look, like everything's slathered in oil, but it works for that game in my opinion.
Okay.
And so, yeah, both Grandia 1 and 2 are looking great. And it's coming with a few enhancements because, like, Grandia 2 is based on the PC version. So we're getting 60 frames per second battles, at least in TV mode, which certainly never happened back on Dreamcast.
Yeah.
And one really cool thing is that they actually, they're not letterboxing the FMVs. They actually extended the art to make them
So they had the
widescreen.
originals and
Yeah, they
extended
had the
them. They
original
didn't crop
FMVs.
it. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So they're
okay.
actually widescreen FMVs from the
Nice.
PS1 and Dreamcast era, which is really cool, and dual audio for both
Love that.
games. So
Love it.
they really, you can tell that they went back to the drawing board. They know how important Grandia is, and I'm very confident that when it does come out, Grandia fans are going to be very happy. Grandia 2 is one of my favorite games of all time, so I was very, very critical of this, and I'm so happy. Going back to the point where you said, I think you said JRPGs everywhere.
Yeah.
On the Switch, so super exciting. With that said, Link's Awakening.
All right.
Link's Awakening. I know it's the expected answer, or one of the two expected answers, but I can't help it, man. Link's Awakening is one of my favorite Zelda games of all time, like probably top 3, 4. And to get it back in this form at all is fantastic. But after having gone hands-on with it for quite extensively, actually, obviously there's still some optimization to be done. The frame rate was all over the place, but this is Nintendo. Look at A Link Between Worlds. It's going to be fine by launch. And there's so much charm. I love the kind of little toy look for the characters. Yeah. I had a blast exploring Mabe Village and seeing these reimaginings of all these characters I remember from the Game Boy. I am so happy that this remake exists, and I know it's not necessarily something big and new like Luigi's Mansion 3, which I also really liked, but I was just taken in by the pure charm and just I admit it, the sheer nostalgia of one of my favorite Zelda games.
I really enjoyed it. I think the only I'll say the negative about it, and it's not really a negative so much as I've played the game,
Sure.
and so I know what to expect, and I think in the demo was only about 12 to 13 minutes. So to me, I just was I picked it up, went on a few screens, and was like, okay, I'm ready to play the full game now. You know what I mean?
That's totally fair.
I'm
yeah.
ready to.
Yeah.
And not again, not to like dog on the game. It's not a point against the game. It's really a point against E3 as we've come to play these games all the time in the preview builds. But we've experienced it before. It looks incredible. It sounds great. Feels like it should, hopefully as it should. And I think we're just ready. I'm ready for the game to come out in September.
Exactly. Yeah. I couldn't be happier. The main thing for me is that they have to keep the vibe right. Like it has to maintain that really unique sense of melancholy that Link's Awakening has. Because it's lighthearted, it's cute at first, and it remains that way, but then you get that twist, and which one I'm talking about. I wouldn't say it for those who haven't played this wonderful game. It's pretty melancholy, and they have to nail that vibe. They can't get rid of that.
Despite playing it like a couple of times on the original and then on 3DS a number of times, I still played for the demo like 5 times.
Same here.
Because I really wanted to get to the end of that dungeon.
Right.
And the first 2 times I was really frustrated that I couldn't do it.
Did you do it?
I did do it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And we did collectively as a team. I tried to take the shortcut by getting the magic powder and the conveyor game, and I failed like 4 times getting it. Man. So I got through the mid-boss of the Tail Cave. And then Steve, shout-outs to Steve from the GameXplain team, he came and gave it his own shot and was doing a great job, and also had a Nintendo rep who had just played through the demo a million times, like guide him through all the skip the map, skip the compass, all the stuff you don't need in Tail Cave, and he made it to the end. And so shout outs to him. We got to see the boss, and we got to see him get the instrument, and that is actually when the demo ends properly. So we got to see the whole thing, and I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah. You brought up the trendy game.
Yes,
they did change. They changed it.
The physics are different. That's why I failed it.
It's no longer on like the rectangular conveyor belt anymore.
Right.
There's the 3 static and then a moving like 2 platforms there. Like I kind of like that. The conveyor thing was a little annoying and stuff, but like nice little like white shadow now that shows you where you could get. But like the precision, it like felt like it could slide a little bit too much. Like if you weren't like very soft with the touch on there, and I kind of like really like that. I liked some of the subtle new things they threw in there, not just like aesthetics, but new things, brand new outright things. The display stand things. I don't know if you saw those.
Did find a lot of those.
All the Mario characters that are enemies that are stuck in there they're like, this stand says like Goomba on there. It's like what is this possibly going to be? I've seen people think it's going to be maybe the figurines from the Wind Waker are going to come back, but I'm curious to how all of you feel about. You kind of brought it up, Jirard. Like, you're just ready to play this because you know this game, and I wonder if that's a detriment to any of you. That aside from the dungeon, like the custom dungeon thing they're going to throw in there, and perhaps these collectible things, that for the most part this is pretty much a faithful 1-to-1 reimagining in terms of like pacing and structure. Does that bother you at all that it's not trying to be any more ambitious than that, or like is that exactly what you wanted and you're actually happy with what they decided to do?
I'm happy with exactly what I'm very happy. I think it's cool that they're adding new elements. The dungeon, whatever this dungeon builder is, this dungeon explorer thing is a great way to start fleshing out new ideas that are possibly going forward for this reboot of a franchise, if you will. Amiibo support, like we have this little Link amiibo now. They said maybe I wasn't paying attention during.
It unlocks new pieces of that custom dungeon you can use.
Sure. Yes. So there's that, but what does that mean for all the other 15 or 20 Zelda amiibo out there? What does that mean for the Mario amiibo out there? I think something I've been noticing lately with Nintendo and the Switch is that amiibo is important to their product line of advertising, but it hasn't been too important as an integration for their products, right?
Right.
Crafted World was a great example of how it was not nearly as creative as it was in Woolly World. I think there's a little bit of a disconnect with functionality in Amiibo nowadays, and it's not like the Amiibo are getting any cheaper or any easier to get. They're still difficult to find. They're still a pain in the butt to get. But they're just not being. They're not using it as the function that I feel like it should be, which is to implement new features and new aspects to these games, especially in franchises like we already know, like Zelda. There's a lot of potential they could use those Amiibo for, and there's so many Amiibo now. I think there's got to be almost 100 of them at this point.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, they're definitely there, and that to me is a missed opportunity. They could have a lot more fun with that, and even if it's like, we didn't come up with a new required way to use the Amiibo. Something like the dungeon crawler stuff is great. but the Amiibo can make it more interesting, more fun, and you can kind of expand your horizons with it.
Definitely.
I will say that going back to your original question, I think you are always walking on thin ice when you try to go in and add new big elements to a classic, beloved game.
Yeah,
and it can be done well, like we saw with Link's Awakening Deluxe. The color dungeon is actually, apparently, it's coming back for the remake. I think I heard that.
They actually apparently showed it off in Treehouse.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I haven't seen it yet, but like,
And
my
that,
roommate told me, they showed it off. I was like, damn, missed it.
Yeah.
That dungeon, in my opinion, is a great example of implementing a new feature into a classic game right, such that it felt like it might have always been there. If they can do that again, I think that would be really cool. Otherwise, you have to be careful because you may just end up ruining the perfect balance of elements that makes Link's Awakening what it is.
Definitely.
And so I would like to see that. At the same time, if they don't go in and add a new dungeon, I'm not going to turn my nose up at it because I still know that I'm getting a reimagining or remake of one of my favorite gaming experiences of all time. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm just definitely gonna play through it. That's about it, really.
Yeah.
I mean, they could add as much as they like, but the feeling needs to be there. That's the point.
Yes.
I think the heart of the soul of that original game just needs to stay intact, and that's the most
Right.
important thing that they need to do.
Well, going the other direction too is a good example is the DS version of Chrono Trigger. While I do think it is still the definitive version or the Steam version now, and I love some of the stuff they added, like the new ending and final boss.
Right.
The 2 new dungeons they added are so obviously worse than the rest of the game.
Yeah.
That it definitely
no
hurts
kidding.
the game overall.
Oh,
That's a
my
good
Lord.
point.
So you have to be careful.
Yeah, I mean, I always thought the color dungeon was like a little novelty in Link's Awakening DX. I never thought it was actually a good dungeon.
Oh, you didn't?
It was just like a nice bonus you can get to enhance your defensive or offensive power. It was just like kind of a gimmick to play. Oh, look, it's red and blue. It's a color dungeon, color puzzles. Like, okay, I get it and stuff. Like, I don't think it's gonna have I didn't see it unless they reimagined it for this game as well with new mechanics. It's gonna be pretty simple. And I think people will be like, whatever. But I think what I started to see in the demo that I'm starting to appreciate more and more, and I got hands-on with it, is the tempering like the expectations. They're not going to radically change anything like that because they do want to preserve, as you said, like the feeling of melancholy, like the atmosphere of the game. Like they need to retain that and not lose that. What they're doing is more subtle changes in like the moment-to-moment stuff that I'm starting to notice. For example, finding the moblins up in the forest just north of you, the ones throwing like spears at you. It used to be like really easy to hit them, but now they back up just a bit. So it's like a little bit more involved in trying to beat them. The one with the sword and shield, you can't just like get behind them and hit them. You got to like throw them off balance by deflecting. I was like, they're okay. I'm seeing these little minor tweaks they're doing to make the game feel a little bit more involved and change the experience just a little bit, that it feels just fresh enough that I can appreciate that without being too risky that it can upset the delicate balance.
The game is relatively short to begin with, so by adding those little subtlety, quality of life changes, I think it takes this flagpole and moves it just a little bit so that the gamer, one, doesn't feel dumb or pandered to, and 2, that it stays faithful to what we knew when we were kids.
Definitely. And again, we haven't seen everything yet. We're just assuming everything we've seen is it because the game itself is a known quantity since it's a remake. I mean, there is precedent for them. They could do all sorts of things we don't expect. There might be a difficulty setting to make the game harder. That's been a pretty standard thing on Zelda games. They've opened the gate with a dungeon creator that what if they introduce a second quest type thing where dungeons are rearranged like Master Quest style.
That would be
like
cool.
There's stuff they might
Yeah.
like they want to save that for the surprise reveal. They're like it's not like a closed book yet. Like there's definitely potential for something to surprise us. If anyone out there is still like, oh, it looks good and stuff, but I was expecting a little bit more, especially I see some people saying because it is a full price game, it's like the $60 game. They like want just maybe a little bit more of it since I think we do agree it is a little bit of a shorter Zelda game in the series.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But hold out. There's still I'm still optimistic. They have like another surprise in store for us that they could do amazing things with it. Like Nintendo's proven that they can do that.
Well, speaking to that point, I think one thing that could do with maybe a little improvement in this remake, and I won't spoil where you go, but it's the very last area of the game that you go before the final boss. I think that could use a rethinking. I think they could flesh that out into a full dungeon experience, and I always thought that back in the original. So I think it would be cool if they took that opportunity to flesh that part out.
Yeah,
it's interesting too because the budget and the team that originally made this game is so much smaller and different than what the resources that Nintendo is giving this game now. So, do they have the ability to change a lot of those things? Absolutely. Should they? Sure. But at the same time, how do you keep it exactly the same without fundamentally changing a lot? And I think that I agree that the end section is very confusing, very muddling. It's a fascinating philosophy when it comes to Nintendo and how they remaster their games, because when they're the kind of company that when they do their remaster, it's not just a port. There's so much more put into thought. How do we make it better? How do we make it more engaging? How do we remain faithful while also moving forward?
Right.
Definitely. But yeah, coming out very soon, September. Not too long away. I was going to mention this, Daan. So far, only Europe is getting that nice, really limited edition.
Gosh,
right?
Why?
We were yesterday at the party.
Yeah.
I pre-ordered while we were there,
Nice.
because it was 10 a.m. in Europe and the pre-orders went live. I was like there in the first minute, and then they were gone like 2 minutes later.
Man,
I
I'm
am
not gonna buy it on eBay.
Every place
can
that has it so far
Thank
will
you.
not ship to the U.S. Except for I think one, but I don't know how reputable it is. I'm waiting for Game to get it, the UK retailer, because they will ship internationally online. That's how I buy a lot of my things I need from European versions.
Yeah.
Still don't have it. If it got listed now and I miss it, I'll be very angry. But watch, I'll pre-order it, and the next day Nintendo of America will announce, "Oh, you're getting it over here." But yeah, a little jelly that you're getting that. Like,
you
Game Boy
guys
Steel
get the
Jeez.
case, and we get the book.
Which does look nice, to be
It's
fair.
a nice
Yeah.
book,
But the case is really cool.
I think the case would have been cooler.
Yeah.
So cool, yeah. I want to wrap this up with our little final segment here. We talked about what we got hands on. We talked about like highlights from the direct. We talked a little bit about it, I guess, like with Jirard, you talking about Bayonetta 3. There's things that were maybe like missing from this E3 that you're a little surprised wasn't there from Nintendo, or a third party game that should have been for Nintendo, or just something that's disappointed you in general about this E3.
Well, let's let Jirard go first, because I went first, you went first. So.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I'm not disappointed by it. I was just surprised that we didn't see much else of it, and that was no new Mario Rabbids game, because I think I don't know anything. I don't have any inside knowledge, but I think they're at a point right now where it is very smart of them to keep up with the momentum of Mario Rabbids, especially with Grant Kirkhope Smash and because he did the music for Mario Rabbids. It's definitely, I feel like it's coming. I feel like next E3 would be the big year for that. I was just kind of surprised that we didn't really have anything from the Ubisoft side, or really third party support in a true fashion for Nintendo, other than the companies they're working with like Sega and Platinum.
Definitely. Great point. Yeah.
I have a joke answer and a serious answer.
Sure.
My joke answer
joke answers.
is, I've said this a few different times, a few different places, but during our GameXplain's E3 predictions discussion, Derek, shout outs to him again, just out of nowhere threw out the prediction, I think Square's going to port Chrono Trigger to Switch. And I'm like, Derek, first of all, you need to prepare somebody before you say that. You don't just throw out Chrono Trigger. You don't invoke that name without, really preparing people. And so even though I never thought that would happen, I think it probably will happen eventually. I never even thought about it as a possibility at this Direct, but I'm now disappointed that we didn't get it, because I've been unable to stop thinking about it. Like the post-patch Steam version of Chrono Trigger on Switch would be amazing.
Be perfect.
So that's my joke answer, because damn it, Derek, you made me want that.
You're joking about Chrono Trigger.
Well,
okay.
in the sense that I never thought it would be revealed here, but hopefully soon. My serious answer is that I made the mistake of reminding myself that the producer and creator of Rhythm Heaven, Tsunku, recently said that over as recently as March, I think he's recovering from his health issues, and said that he would be willing to do a new Rhythm Heaven for Switch if the fan demand is there. The fan demand is here, Nintendo.
Here too.
So I never thought that I didn't think we were really getting it, but I was kind of hoping, nursing hope, that we get a port of Rhythm Heaven Megamix.
Okay,
on Switch. So
yeah.
I was a little disappointed not to see that. Rhythm Heaven is my secret favorite Nintendo series.
It's so
and
good.
it's amazing, and one of my favorite things about Rhythm Heaven Fever is it is the only Rhythm Heaven game that can draw people into a party-like atmosphere, because anyone who walks by that is like, even if you're not into video games, you're like, whoa, this is cool. Bright colors, cool designs. You're only using one button most of the time. What is this?
Yeah.
And it gets people into it. With the Switch version of Megamix, we could get that again. And I love playing Rhythm Heaven with people. Get it off a handheld-only format. Give me the latest one on a console and handheld format.
Yeah.
So I was a little sad we didn't see that. Didn't really expect it, but I hope we get it.
Yeah.
I kind of went in with this E3 with a sort of open mind because usually I'm
Sure.
kind of critical of conferences, especially last year. I like Smash, but I'm not the greatest Smash guy. So like 25 minutes of Smash really really bummed me out.
Uh-huh.
Like this year was very different, where I'm kind of like happy this time around.
That's
I'm very
good.
happy. Like I was a little bit bummed initially with about the Animal Crossing stuff, but then when you learn more and see what they're doing with it, I'm kind of like I'm okay waiting a little bit. So like just a nice change. I feel kind of satisfied this time around, and it feels weird to say that. Like I wish there was more third-party stuff that was there on Switch. Like outside of the Nintendo stuff, I didn't play that much third-party stuff on Switch on the E3 this year. But like the first-party stuff, like the lineup this year is actually pretty solid.
Yeah, I would agree. Small disappointment would probably be just like Capcom. Like it goes beyond
Yeah.
Nintendo, honestly. But I understand they had like a stellar first half with Resident Evil 2 remake and Devil May Cry 5. So it's like, hey, they just put out these two great games. Like
They got to take a little break before they go back
Yeah.
into
Yeah,
development.
I think people are getting a little too giddy for like, oh, they're gonna announce remake 3 or something, but at least on Switch, like maybe they can announce a new Monster Hunter just for Switch because Monster Hunter does well on Switch, and nothing that came to be. So that was a small disappointment. I think I psyched myself. Everything was fantastic, pretty much.
Yeah.
I think I couldn't have asked for any more without being a little greedy, and that's where my I guess sort of my joke answer as well. For me is I got a little too greedy, and also my predictions. Thinking that we were gonna get a tease of the new 3D Mario, whether it was like Super Mario 3D World port, a Wii U port to Switch, or just outright Odyssey 2, because I was arguing that there was no DLC levels. Why would you do that? Obviously, it's because they're saving those levels for a sequel. It's going to be a Galaxy situation where we got Galaxy 2 3 years after Odyssey came out, 2017, so 3 years later, it'll be 2020. Perfect time to announce it right now and show it off. Didn't happen, but I got Zelda, so it's like, oh, I got the one I'm more into, so I can. And you know what? There's plenty to go around. Like, let Mario have time later if they're indeed working on it. So
Agree.
I was pretty happy with everything. Just little some third party stuff not being there was probably the only serious thing. I was like, oh, kind of expect that, but no.
I do wish a little bit more that Capcom would be more active in porting stuff, because they have a huge catalog to port on, and they're now bringing over Resident Evil 6.
Yeah, no mention
Yeah.
of the other Devil May Cry games. It's still just Devil
No.
May Cry 1 at this point.
And I
It's
played
Devil May
that.
Cry
Yeah.
It was very plain. It was Devil May Cry on Switch. It's fine, but it doesn't really stand out in any way. And actually, so was Resident Evil 6. That was playable behind closed doors.
Oh.
And I got a chance to take that for a spin, and kind of just piggybacking off what you said about it being disappointing. Capcom isn't putting the effort into these titles that they
ports?
should be. Like
Yeah.
RE4
No.
didn't have gyro. RE6,
yeah.
from what I can tell, does not have gyro either, but it did have HD Rumble. Yet RE5 doesn't. So
Okay.
they're
They're kinda
taking a
pricey,
weird
too.
scattershot approach
Yeah,
to these
they're
ports.
They are pricey.
Their
Yeah, they're
price
too
is
pricey.
a little,
Yeah.
they can-
I think the price is atone to them down compressing. Because look, the Wii U, not the greatest graphic capability based console, right?
No.
The Wii, also the same. Nintendo's hardware for the past few years has not been powerhouses. So to take games like Resident Evil 4, 5, 6, and then compartmentalizing it to be playable on Switch, they have to make their money back, I'm sure, because they're trying to get these beautiful big games to fit a platform that they were not designed for.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the 360 and the PS3 are still, I'd argue, almost the same, if not a little more powerful than the Nintendo Switch. So they have to really put their hands around these games and figure out how to get them smaller. With that said, they are way too overpriced. I'd rather just play them on Steam or Xbox One or PS4.
The price is absolutely preventing me from making those insta buys.
Yeah,
if they were
right.
like
Yeah.
Resident Evil 4 would have been an insta buy if it was cheaper. A 5 would actually be an insta buy for me if it was cheaper, and it's not. And the fact that they're not adding anything extra, sometimes, as you said, like RE4 not having a gyro aiming for that. It was
Right.
The
wait,
commercial
what?
in the Direct was really
Oh.
weird.
It was.
Low point.
What a
Low point.
weird-
That was a
Correct.
low point.
Weird introduction for Koizumi too. Why would you play it in a different location?
It
Yeah.
just
Just go
was.
to a spooky house.
That's that was just a weird
It was
choice.
weird,
It was
yeah.
It was a weird choice to
That-
promote.
That might be my biggest disappointment, is having
Yeah, no, I
Koizumi in the
agree.
Direct. and introducing a weird Resident Evil game and not introducing Link's Awakening, the game he was like so instrumental in being a part of. I was like, please, like give this person their due for like being an instrumental part in crafting one of the like most unique stories and atmospheres in a Zelda game, and missed up. I like that was a huge missed opportunity.
Like,
Resident
Evil.
Resident Evil, Koizumi. And maybe we reversed because Nintendo took Fujibayashi off of Flagship from Capcom, working on the Oracle and Minish Cap games, to now be the director of the Zelda games with the Breath of the Wild and Skyward Sword before that. Maybe Capcom's gonna steal Koizumi or become the new Resident Evil director. Gonna go in reverse this time.
No, the RE5 and 6 weird trailer thing was definitely a low point. I would say the other low point was Contra Road Core.
Oh, that was.
That is not. I don't under. And what's funny? What's funny? That was actually my last appointment of the show. So I ended E3 with Contra, and you know what? Here's what's funny. It actually isn't as horrid as the trailer made it seem.
Okay.
It actually plays okay. But it doesn't play like anything I feel like Contra fans would ever want. That's the thing.
It looks very plasticky.
Yeah, and it's just, it doesn't, I mean, and what's weird is I found out that it's actually is being created by the same guy who produced Contra 3, and I think directed Contra Hardcore. Or I might have gotten those reversed, but they still, the guy worked on Hardcore and the Alien Wars, and I'm like, why is this something that you think Contra fans want? Now, I can't speak as a hardcore Contra fan. I'm not one.
Sure.
But given what I know and have played of Contra and know of its fans, this isn't what they were looking for, I don't think.
Shout out to Contra Hardcore now. Contra Collection.
Right, exactly. So
that's the Contra Collection.
Yeah. So I will say
that's where the budget went.
The trailer made it look worse than it actually is, but it's still not something I think Contra fans are going to be over the moon about.
All right.
Yeah.
Woo. Good E3, huh?
Yeah.
Exciting stuff.
Good E3. Solid.
Yeah. Like, I don't think
for Nintendo.
Yeah. And really looking forward to the output they're going to have in the next few months and next year. I want to thank all of you for joining me today.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Since we've gotten in the studio, this is like one of the biggest things I want to do is like have like all guest panels like this for like big events like this, and like making this work. Like, thank you so much. Like, this would not be possible if all three of you didn't take out time from your busy schedules and stuff. So greatly appreciate that.
All right.
And thank you very much. And I always say this, but
us.
literally anytime I'm happy to be here because I love you guys. I love your content, and I'm just honored to be here. So thank you.
Always a pleasure.
It was wonderful.
Well, for everyone else, none of the patron stuff, none of that. It's a live episode and stuff. So until next time, may the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.